Oh. 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 Satchidanandarupaya Vishwotpattyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Janmadyasya yatonvayaditarataschaarteshwabhignaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yatsurayaha Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Dharma Projita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayonmulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Va Parerishwaraha Sadyo Hridyavarudhyate Trakritibihi Shushrushubistatkshanat. Hariom and greetings from Niagara Falls. When I was in high school studying biology, a fascinating framework that I came across was the hierarchy of needs as shared by Maslow. All of you are aware of this? I think so. This is a pyramid from most functional to most fundamental. So at the bottom, a pyramid's always built from the bottom. Physiological needs. Next, safety needs. Next, belonging needs. Next, esteem needs. And at the top, actualization needs. For us, that is sukha prapti. That is mumukshutva, the need to be enlightened. Now, reflecting on these needs with our rinas. In our culture, the 14th samskara, and I'll be speaking more about this in March when we go through the second part of why do we in reference to our samskaras. The 14th samskara is called Pancha Mahayagnya. And what this is there are 5 factors in this multiverse that are forever giving to us. They are, this is almost from farthest to closest. Nature's forces is the farthest. I'm coming closer. Nature's creations or creatures, that's the right word. Nature's creatures. Closer than that is society. Closer than that is family. And the closest is our guide, or our guide tradition, our Sadguru Shishya Parampara. Now, I feel that these needs and the rinas match up. In terms of our physical needs, who provides that? Nature's forces, correct? Like oxygen. In terms of our safety needs, it is nature's creatures. If you think of our medicines, finally they're plant-based, correct? Even if they're animal-based, those animals sustain themselves on plants. In terms of belonging needs, it is society. Think about a school that nurtures arrogance, then one always feels a lack of sense of belonging. Esteem needs from family. Those families that are preoccupied with, let's say, their professions, then how do the people in that home feel? They feel they have lower self-esteem. And actualization is naturally facilitated by our guides. The more humorous implication of what I'm connecting here is that Maslow copied Sanatana Dharma, okay? He should give credit to our samskaras. The higher implication, we have a holiday next week because of you. Thanksgiving has become a strange holiday where the focus is on getting and not giving. More important than Thursday's Thanksgiving is Friday's Black Friday. And we who have access to Purana, that which is ancient yet applicable, like these Panchamahayagnas, we have to make this culture of Thanksgiving not strange, but meaningful by giving. The Panchamahayagna is when you are aware of how much you have been given and you start to give back to nature's forces, nature's creatures, society, family, our guide tradition. So in advance, I'm offering all of you a joyous Thanksgiving. Give thanks and be joyous. In chapter 70, Bhagavan Krishna is looking at all of his devis. And that sounds very patriarchal or misogynistic, correct? His devis. But they feel the same way about him. That's her Krishna. All of these devis were mumukshus or muktas. So where would their minds be? Naturally on Bhagavan Krishna. So when he would leave those rooms, those palaces, he would smile at them and take their minds with them. That is a very beautiful and practical way to live, is that your body is moving, but your mind is with the unmoving. And Bhagavan Krishna would go to Sudharma. What is Sudharma? For all of you who know about the Veda, when you complete your dharma, what will you start to feel? The Veda only has two subjects. It is dharma and Brahma, as in infinity or joy. Sudharma is when one has completed their dharma, so there's only Brahma, Bhagwan. If you are in Sudharma, if you are in Brahman or Bhagwan, what will you not experience? The Shad Urmayahas, these are the 6 waves of affliction, the 6 waves of sadness. What are they? I'm going to go in order from least intense to most intense. Least intense, hunger. Can you imagine that's our least intense affliction? On everyone's resume, there's hangry, correct? And that's the least. More intense is thirst. Next, It is aging. Aging. Next is dying. More intense than that, more affliction, more sadness is sadness. And the most is ignorance. What does it mean to complete our dharma? Is use the body, the mind, and the intellect completely so that you know that you're more than they are. You are Bhagavan. You are Brahma. Is that clear for everyone? For a typical kathakar, a storyteller, they will only mention the name Sudharma, and they will start to describe the pillars and the seats. But Bhagavatam is Vedanta. In one half of a sentence, what is mentioned is that people don't experience these waves of affliction. But in that half sentence, so much of a program is given for us, correct? Treat food more functionally, treat thirst more functionally, accept that you're going to age, know that you're not going to die, etc., etc., etc. And this chapter's main emphasis was dinacharya, how we are to live every day, which is called our lifestyle. It begins with dhyana. This expresses more as dhamma, more as dana, and more as dharma. This should be the priority in your lifestyle. Dhyana, dhamma, dana, dharma. Dhamma may be complex for some of us. It is when you are using your words and actions. Dhyana is for your thoughts. Dhamma is your words and actions are also directed towards Bhagavan. In other words, puja, rituals, and so on. Now, making a connection here. When we chant Jagadishvara Arti or Jagadishvari Arti, we chant Tan, Man, Dhan, Sab Kuch Tera. Everyone's clear about that? You've heard it before, you've said it before. Here's how this looks. Dhyana is when you offer your man. That is your mind. No one is lost with the Sanskrit and Hindi. Is everyone clear? If you have questions, make sure you ask at the end. Dhyana is offering your man. I did say man. Okay. Dhamma is offering your tan. Dhamma is giving your body. Then dana naturally is giving your dhan, your resources, your time. If one gives, and the order here is man, tan, dhan, then one will feel Atman. If you've given all that you depend on, you will feel that which is closest. Atman means closest. You will feel independent. Only such an established personality can engage in dharma. They're the ones who are the performers of actions, if you refer to Bhagavad Gita. What an awesome half chapter. All of this is shared in half of chapter out of the 90 chapters of the 10th skanda. These are zip files inside of zip files. Lots and lots and lots to reflect on. We continue. Later on in the 70th chapter, you have to visualize that we're all sitting in Sudharma. A messenger arrives in Sudharma. That is Bhagavan Krishna's sabha. He's with his family, his ministers. And this messenger reads a message on behalf of more than 20,000 kings. If you think of online petitions, nobody has 20,000 signatures. This is a petition, a message on behalf of 20,000 kings who are rotting in a prison because of Jarasandha. Jarasandha is a asura who is disguised as a raja, a vicious personality who's posing as a leader. We have already come across Jarasandha. He attacked Mathura again and again and again. He had lost 17 times, and the 18th time, he as if won, and Bhagavan Krishna ran from that battle. So what is his name now? Ranachor, the one who runs away from a battle, and he made his own kingdom, that is Dwaraka. So this messenger is asking for Bhagavan Krishna's help, to help these kings who are rotting. As soon as this message is over, who else arrives in that sabha? Who's cruising through dimensions right now? It was Shurpanakha, okay? Don't say Shurpanakha. It is Rishi Narada who also arrives in this sabha, and he's offering a message on behalf of Raja Yudhishthira. Many more references to the Pandavas are now coming. And this is so beautiful because I had shared with all of you, in Meaningful Mornings, we explore the teachings of Bhagavan Krishna. In Bhagavatam, or Vedanta and Bhagavatam, we explore not just his teachings, but his life. It's a really lovely combination. So, Rishi Narada comes and says, Raja Yudhishthira wants to perform the Rajasuya. Though the word is yajna, the better word is yaga. Rajasuya yaga. A yaga is a micro ritual that is macro in nature. Okay, it's beyond our comprehension. That's how big this is. And essentially, what has to happen in this Rajasuya yaga is that a Raja gets into this. I think it's called a shotgun deal in real estate. Either you accept me to be the Raja or we fight for that. So you can learn real estate techniques from Bhagavatam also. But now, within this Rajasuya Yaga, there is one facet, and this will be explored in our next class. It's called the Agra Puja. A Agra Puja is where you remember and you offer your reverence to the most enlightened personality. So Raja Yudhishthira is inviting Bhagavan Krishna to be part of this yaga, because he's quite clear the most enlightened personality is Bhagavan Krishna. Who doesn't think that? A humorous character is coming, not this week, but soon. Who doesn't think that? Some of us are like this. Some of your family members are like this. Shishupal. Shishupal disagrees that Bhagavan Krishna is not the most enlightened personality. Now, I would like to tell you one insight into this before I continue. There's not a lot of Vedanta in the chapters I'm narrating, so I'm offering an insight. The Rajasuya Yaga, this coupled with the Agra Puja, for us is in a proactive way that the purpose of your life is to be enlightened and everything else is secondary. Agra Puja, Bhagavan Krishna is the purpose. Becoming an emperor is the secondary purpose. Are you all clear about that? That's proactive. The reactive message here is, as successful as you are, to remember the reason for that success is Agra Puja, as in Bhagwan Krishna. So then one becomes more humble. Okay? Better is be humble and then live. Worse is live to become humble. But in both cases, humility is, it's not even a virtue, it's a fact. I have shared with all of you many times when Prince Arjuna defeated the Kauravas and he came off of his chariot. And then immediately after Bhagwan Krishna came off the chariot, do you know what happened to that chariot? It imploded. That chariot imploded. The message being, the only reason this chariot was functioning is because of Bhagwan. And now that Bhagwan's not there, that chariot imploded. Now think about this for us. What is your chariot? Can you point that to me? Don't look at your garage and your driveway. My Honda Civic is my chariot. It's the body. If Shiva leaves this body, what will happen to this body? Shava. This body will implode, as in become a corpse. So now Bhagwan Krishna is in a predicament. Messenger, help the rotting kings. Rishi Narada, Yudhishthira wants you to be part of the Agra Puja. So what Bhagwan Krishna does, he asks Uddhava. Remember Rishi Uddhava, what should I do in this circumstance? And this is such an amazing leadership insight. You don't think Bhagwan Krishna already knows what to do. But see how he's empowering Rishi Uddhava. There's humility in all that he does. Remember the hand holding I talked about last week? I thought that to be so beautiful that he was holding his hands. When I come in from meaningful mornings, it's freezing. And my hands are so cold. And usually I'll put them in my kids in their necks or their knees, and they're really annoyed by it. But now Shukla will come up to me and says, let me warm up your hands. It's such a loving gesture, but I'm his father. In this case, Bhagwan's doing that with the charioteer. And it's so awesome because Bhagwan becomes the charioteer. Okay, I have to keep moving. In the 71st chapter, we continue. Rishi Uddhava has shared that you should first free all of these rotting kings, because that will be part of the Rajasuya Yaga. So he's saying, do this, and this will be built into this Rajasuya Yaga. So now they're thinking about Jarasandha, and Rishi Uddhava tells Bhagwan Krishna that Jarasandha is a most generous personality. He gives freely. So what you should do, Bhagwan Krishna and Bhima, his name is Bhima Sena, and Arjuna, they should all go to Jarasandha disguised as Brahmanas. And they should go to Jarasandha and ask from him. And instead of asking for food or funds, ask for a fight. And he's generous, so he's not going to say no. And Bhagwan Krishna, as if he didn't know this, he's smiling and nodding. Yeah, good idea. We will do this. And so he told that messenger, go and tell all of those kings that I'm coming. I am coming to free you. Bhagwan Krishna and his devis and all of the ministers and all those close to them start to travel to Indraprastha. Indraprastha is where Raja Yudhishthira and the Pandavas are. This is the kingdom they've been exiled to. The original kingdom is Hastinapura. And they were not allowed to be there, so they created their own kingdom, which is much better, called Indraprastha. It's like York and New York. Yes? It is like that difference. So they all travel there. And now I will read to you the English, because I feel so many times, especially in the Mahabharata serials that we watch, that Yudhishthira is treated as being someone who's dumb or indulgent. But he's not. And I'll read that to you right now. So imagine Bhagavan Krishna and his family, they're all at the outskirts of Indraprastha. Yudhishthira came out of the city along with his relatives and spiritual preceptors to welcome him. Just as the Indriyas would eagerly welcome the prana on which their existence depends, so did Yudhishthira welcome Rishikesha, the power behind the mind and all its faculties, with intense warmth and cordiality, and to the accompaniment of the sound of songs and musical instruments, as well as of the loud chanting of the Vedas. Raja Yudhishthira is going to become the emperor of the world. And what is he doing? Running out to greet Bhagavan Krishna like a cousin you haven't seen after so long, like children would do. With a heart melting in love at this long-delayed meeting with Krishna, the darling of his heart. Yudhishthira, the son of Pandu, embraced him again and again, hugging with both his hands the body of Mukunda. That is a lovely scene. So please change what you think about in terms of what or who Raja Yudhishthira is. He is a bhakta. Bhagavan Krishna enters Indraprastha and everyone comes to see him. Remember I told you in the 9th skanda, why does Bhagavan Krishna become an avatara? It is not to protect the noble and correct the ignoble. Why does he come? To grace. Exactly, to bless. That's why he comes. So he's just slowly walking through Indraprastha, just looking at everyone, taking their minds with him. Bhagavan Krishna stayed on in Indraprastha for a few months. It's not stated how many, but what is stated, most of his time was with Prince Arjuna driving around. So much foreshadowing for Bhagavad Gita, correct? That's what friends do now, right? They cruise through the city, get ice cream, watch the fireworks. So you have to imagine that. Bhagavan Krishna and Prince Arjuna, best friends forever. They're in this chariot and they're just going around. That is the end of chapter 71. We continue to chapter 72. The Rajasuya Yaga. Raja Yudhishthira orders. He sent Sahadeva at the head of the Srinijayas to the south, Nakula at the head of the Matsyas to the west, Arjuna at the head of the Kekayas to the north, and Bhima at the head of the Madrakas to the east. Raja Yudhishthira, he sent his brothers to all of the directions. And they won all of those directions other than, again, Jarasandha. They were not able to defeat him when they were fighting by themselves. So now Sri Krishna follows what Rishi Uddhava said, and he and Bhimasena and Arjuna go to Jarasandha disguised as Brahmanas. And as Brahmanas, they're praising Jarasandha for being generous. And as they're praising him, Jarasandha is carefully looking at them and he observes their hands. What does he see on their hands? He sees scars. That these can't be Brahmanas. Brahmanas, they have desk jobs. They're used to typing all the time. They have scars on their hands, which means they're construction workers or gardeners or parents. So he knows that something is not straight here. And he starts to reflect to himself. He remembers the last time that there was a disguise was when a Brahmana came to Raja Bali. Who was that Brahmana? It was Bhagwan Vamana. And in that exchange of asking and giving, Raja Bali, his peace and his position and so on only grew. So I am going to accept, even though this is not straight, I am going to accept giving whatever they're going to ask for. And so what did they ask for? A fight. And when they ask for this, Jarasandha starts to laugh. And he says to Bhagwan Krishna, I'm not going to fight with you because you're weak. Do you remember the 18th time we fought? You ran away. You're below my dignity. He says to Prince Arjuna, you are young. He is the youngest out of the three, so I won't fight with you. But I do want to fight with Bhimasena. And so they start fighting with their maces, their gadas. And what's so powerful about this, as they're hitting each other with these maces, the maces start to break. As the mace is hitting their skull, their collarbone, and so on, the mace starts to break. I think about in our home, when toys are used to hit other things, those toys don't break. But here the mace began to break. And this fight went on for 27 days. And what's so epic about this, they only fought during the day. At night, they would all hang out as friends. What a beautiful culture of the rules of engagement. Imagine everyone learned this in terms of just games, to be a good winner and to be a good loser. Bhimasena was getting tired, so he asked Bhagwan Krishna, how do I continue? And so for the 28th day, Bhagwan Krishna says, when you are most tired, I want you to look at me. And I will teach you how to defeat Jarasandha. And so the 28th day and Bhimasena is getting tired. And what does Bhagwan Krishna do? Can you all show me? You've all watched this in the Mahabharata TV serial. It's so such a memorable part. That's all I remember from the Mahabharata, was how they reuse scenes again and again and again. And Puja Guruji has shared that it's a blade of grass that is split. The text I'm reading says it's a twig. The point being is an entity is split in two. And Bhimasena, he puts one foot on Jarasandha's leg, and he takes his other leg and wraps it around his shoulder, and he splits him. And the details are intense. One half of the body has one thigh, 1 foot, and it's intense. Now, a brief history of why Jarasandha is the way he is. It's quite awful. When he was born, his parents hated him. And they essentially just threw him. And there was a Asuri. Her name was Jara. And she did the Sandha. She joined these two halves. That's why his name became Jarasandha. And the only way for Jarasandha to be destroyed is for him to go back into two halves. And naturally, Bhagwan Krishna knew that, and nobody else knew that. I was going to cover one more chapter, but let me put some conclusions to what we're going through right now. After Jarasandha was destroyed, Bhagwan Krishna made his son, Sahadeva, the king. And this just shows how non-possessive Bhagwan Krishna is. He only wants people to be noble. So he established his son, and Sahadeva naturally released all of those kings. So now, the one Vedantic point here. And I've not read this in this text, but I've briefly listened to this from Pujaswami Tejomayananda. Jarasandha is symbolic for aviveka, or indiscrimination. Remember, all of the asuras are symbolic for a feeling we have. Putana is ignorance and so on. Jarasandha is indiscrimination. What does jada mean? Jada means insentient. This pencil is jada. The one who is indiscriminate feels that the sentient and insentient can have a relationship. How do they live? I want position and peace. Their focus is always on the and because they're indiscriminate. But we have to tear this apart. That this is insentient and I am sentient. We have to be intense to go from and to or. Remember in the Upanishad course I shared, you can either follow the path of Preya or Shreya, but not both. So it is through Viveka, or discrimination, that everything that we're interacting with, if we feel that it's sentient, it's because of sentience, your sentience, but it is not naturally sentient. In chapter 73, which I will not explain, but the whole chapter revolves around how thankful these kings are. And this is a beautiful prelude to Thanksgiving. The end of chapter 73, I just want to read to you one more aspect of Raja Yudhishthira. I've really come to love him more. Those who love Bhagavan, how can you not love them? Ananda Ashrukalam Munjan. That Raja Yudhishthira, when Bhagavan Krishna came back after having defeated Jarasandha, he was crying and crying and crying out of Ananda. Premna no vacha kinchana. And there was so much love inside of him that he couldn't speak. When Bhagavan came back, he was only crying and he couldn't speak anything. This reminds me so much of what it feels to internalize. When one has internalized Bhagavan, internalized awareness, then there's no need to speak. There's no need to externalize. Oh. Narayana.